Morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Carol.
So tell us about this bill to change who is eligible for food stamps.
Well, what this bill does is it takes the program, which of course has doubled in the past 3 years, and says what we want to do is take out some waste, fraud, and abuse, and we want to decrease the program by 5%. But, you know, as you have just heard, waste, fraud, and abuse occurs in the program. 10.5% of the stores that participate in food stamps are engaged in trafficking. So we think that if we just eliminate the waste, fraud, and abuse, we'll actually have more money to get to the people who need it.
So the federal government seems to already be doing this. You just heard from the U.S. Attorney from Baltimore talking about that. You do think there is a need, a real need out there to be on food stamps for many people?
Absolutely, again, but we want to get those food stamps into the hands of the people who deserve it, not as in the case of Baltimore, the one small store owner who defrauded the government for $2 million. That's $2 million that didn't get into the hands of needy recipients.
So the amount Republicans want to cut is $40 billion over 10 years. Critics say that's just an arbitrary figure, way too much, when the poverty rate in this country now stands at more than 13%.
Well, as I said, Carol, it's a 5% decrease when we know there is 10.5% of the stores that take food stamps are engaged in trafficking. So we know the fraud stands at 10% of the stores. We only want to cut 5%. That ought to leave more money getting to the hands of the people who do need it. And there are millions of Americans who need that benefit.
But if you change the requirements, some people will be thrown, some people will be eliminated from qualifying for food stamps. There are critics who say that those people need them too. And how do you decide who needs food stamps and who doesn't? I mean, is there some study that says how many people are on the rolls right now who are not deserving?
Well, again, there's the one study that showed by the Department of Agriculture 10.5% of stores are committing fraud. And, what we're doing is we're just saying, look, if we're going to help you with food stamps, and we are, then we need you to either work, look for employment, if you're able-bodied, not disabled, and able to work, either be working, look for work, or engage in job training. We think that's a common sense trade-off for getting help from the American taxpayer that needy people need.
Well, some might say that it's easy to say, get some job training, get a new job, get a better paying job, but there aren't that many jobs available at this particular time in our economy to accomplish that. Or is there in your mind?
Well, no. Look, clearly this economy is stagnant. There's no question about it. We have very different ideas from the president on how to get that, job engine going. But we're not telling people they have to be employed, but that they have to seek employment or they have to seek job training. That's reasonable. That's the hand up as well as the hand out when in need. So we think that's the double punch people need. They need to get the aid, and we need to be giving them a hand up to getting a job and ultimately reducing the amount of people who need food stamps.
But don't we have to create the jobs first? And I only ask you that because yesterday I interviewed the CEO of Panera Bread. He's taking this food stamp challenge, and I asked him if he thinks food stamps are enabling people. And here's what he had to say. Listen.
1 in 6 Americans, 48 million Americans, are food insecure. Now, are there people in that group that are taking advantage of it in some way? I'm sure there are. On the other hand, are there people that have real need? Absolutely. And the question we each individually have to ask is what kind of society we want? What does it mean? And how do we want to live?
Your response to that?
I couldn't agree with him more. We have to help those people in need. But again, and he agrees, there are people who are getting it who probably shouldn't be. Again, we know 10% of stores are trafficking in food stamps, 10% of stores that take it. We know there's waste, fraud, and abuse. We think that it's reasonable to say, we know there's probably 10% when you combine people who probably should be working or looking for a job or on job training, plus the stores that shouldn't be trafficking. We're only asking for a 5% decrease in a time of budgetary crisis where this is being put up against funding the NIH for basic medical research. I mean, this is against putting money into defense. So we're saying, look, let's be smart with the dollars we have, help the people who need it, and help the people, again, who can work, get a job, find a job. Obviously, in this economy, you're going to have a lot of people who can't get a job right now. No question about it. Everybody agrees this economy is stagnant. But we have to at least make the offer of job training and encourage people to do that in order to, when this recession is finally over, God knows when, let's go ahead and get them back on board.
I hear you about the job training, but who exactly is going to do that, and where's the money going to come from that? Because the savings that you're going to save from cutting this $40 billion from the food stamp roll, for lack of a better term, it's not going to go to job training.
Oh, we have billions of dollars in job training. There are 41 different programs the federal government provides grants for and monies for that provide job training in the states. 41 different programs. So we have a lot of programs. We have to just get these to the people who need them most. And I think that the people who require federal help, federal food stamp help, in times of need are people who we ought to be doing more than just giving them food stamps. We ought to do that, but then we ought to be also getting them the job training or jobs, you know, getting this economy going. This is part of a larger effort to say, look, let's get America back to where it was. Remember, the number of people on food stamps has doubled in the past 3 years. We've got to reverse that trend, and one way to do it is get this economy going again.
All right, Congressman Andy Harris, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Carol.
Still to come in the newsroom, Miss America addresses her history-making win.
I wanted to be the first Indian Miss America.